Okay, I think we can, okay, so there was some last minute changes, but anyhow, sorry that we didn't get to see and hear our Brazilian counterparty, but anyhow, that's the way it is. So thank you very much, everybody. My name is Claudio. I'm co-founder of Metapool. We're a liquid staking platform. We're the largest DeFi protocol made in Latin America, so really happy about that. Thank you for being here. Staking Summit is a great place, and what better place to talk about Latin America than in the heart of South America right now, which is Buenos Aires. Together with these three panelists, we're going to talk about insights into Latin America. Just for a show of hands, who here is their first time in Latin America? Okay, two guys. Okay, two, three, four. Okay, fine. We're preaching to acquire here. So many of you are from here or have visited here a few years ago or recently. So the important thing here that we're going to talk about is basically infrastructure, scale, and adoption. So those are three important topics that we want for you to hear it from the lion's mouth. We got centralized exchange, we got a wallet and protocol, and we got somebody that is running a big chunk of the infrastructure that runs on a couple of L1s from Latin America. So with further ado, I would like to ask the first question, like, how does it compare, like, global adoption to Latin American adoption from some of the big players, such as, in this case, Tools for Humanity world? How have you seen that one? And also, before we get into that, maybe explain to them what you do at Tools for Humanity. Yep. Go right ahead, Juan.
Thank you, Claudio. So, like, what I do in Tools for Humanity is kind of what everyone is doing, is just scrambling around because we're too few and too many responsibilities. But the project has, like, started everything with the biometrics. Many of you probably have heard about it. And now we're turning into, like, the financial ecosystem as well. And also we have mini apps that is really useful for, like, people that are coming to develop in the ecosystem, because we have a chain, but also we have the tokens. So there is, like, basically people can come, develop mini apps, and have, like, millions of users all over the world that can consume this mini app, right? But sideline that, what we're seeing in Latin America particularly is that we have 17.5 more or less million verified users, like, or verified users. And I would say that at least 10 of them are from Latin America. Argentina, at least, is the largest market that we have today, with probably 2 or 3 million verified users. And we only have, like, operations in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. So if you kind of extrapolate that number to the population of Buenos Aires, we have kind of verified, I feel that is more than 10% of the people that lives in Buenos Aires, which for a self-attestation wallet is huge, right? And many of you are from Argentina, or many of you have probably known the ecosystem in Argentina, but crypto is huge here, right? In comparison to the rest of Latin America and probably to the rest of the world. So yeah, we have a big bet here, and new products, particularly on the financial ecosystem, are going to be released in the next 2 or 3 weeks, starting with stables. I don't know, how do you want me to go in? Because also...
No, it definitely heal. You can also give some perspective on that, right? So we're self-attestation is one, but then we have centralized exchanges, which are also a central part of massive crypto adoption here in the region. So care to share a little bit on that?
Yeah, for sure, Claudio. Thanks for inviting me. So at BitGet, we've seen an explosive growth, right? Here I'm in charge of strategy and operations for Latin America. And especially during the last couple of years, we have seen how the curve has literally gone up to the right. We're adding pretty much hundreds of thousands of users on a monthly basis. And especially because we've seen a strong demand from other countries that, apart from the typical ones, right? Like we have, for example, Brazil as the largest country in Latin America with the largest demand. Then we have very strong use cases in Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, Venezuela as well. But then you got countries which are exploding, like Peru or Bolivia, which have a strong demand for stablecoins. So it's been quite interesting how also the user has started to sophisticate themselves. How this user base has grown for just not having appetite to make their first Bitcoin purchase, but to have a portion of their savings into stable coins, and also have those staked and generate yield upon their savings. So it has been quite interesting how dynamic that has become. And on top of that, you got all the trading activities that we offer on the exchanges platform. So the user now doesn't only comes to get their first bite at crypto, they come for the whole experience.
Yeah, I think for the audience here, you need to understand that a lot of the friction that our industry has gets sidelined by the necessity to have access to digital assets. Not only do they want the yield, but they also want the security to avoid inflation, right? And I think that was the biggest use case here in Argentina. But for example, in Bolivia, you have the problem of shortage of US dollars, right, on the market. So there's no way for you to get that exposure. The only way to get that exposure is through digital assets, centralized exchanges, peer-to-peer platforms as well. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that adoption here looks totally different as in the US or Europe or maybe Asia, right? Where it's more of a, okay, where can I get leverage? Where can I get more access to better yield opportunities? Here is basically access to US dollars, access to yield that is not crazy leverage, right? But at the end of the day, we're getting more sophisticated as we go, and we're getting also enterprises to be part and participate in this infrastructure, right? And Pablo, I think here is where really adoption for the infrastructure side and the demand for compute, I think plays an important role, right? We're not only just consuming, but we're also offering services around infrastructure. Care to share a little bit more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So happy to be here in my hometown. So basically with what is going on here in Argentina is that there's a massive adoption from retail customers, but institutional customers are not ready yet. And what happened there is that exchanges are working with crypto, but the local banks or even fintechs, they can't touch crypto yet. So I think the mega massive adoption will come in the next 2 to 3 years when regulation is in place to make sure that banks can also offer crypto services. And what happened in Latin America is that exchanges do not offer earned services for staking, the local and regional exchanges. And that is also a trend that we are seeing that probably in the next maps, they already have it in the roadmap. And probably Latin American customer will be able to use earned services. They use it now in exchanges like Binance or Base, but not in the regional exchanges we have. But we are seeing a lot of usage, of course, of infrastructure technology and all the global L1s and L2, also the stablecoin new chains like Arc, Tempo, Plasma. They're also demanding infrastructure services in Latin America.
Yeah, I think, for example, one of the important aspects here in custodial services are playing an important role. I know everybody started as decentralized and giving access to most everybody. The issue with institutionals is that they do want to have custodial services behind them, right? BitGo, Figment, Anchorage, and a bunch of them are playing important roles. For example, right now, in order for the Banco de Crédito del Perú to offer Bitcoin custody to their customers in Bolivia, they're leveraging BitGo technology, right? And so this is a big opportunity for a lot of you guys here and gals that are building this infrastructure for custodial services to really look into opportunities in Latin America, right? So definitely hit Pablo up for that. But in our case, Metapool is supporting Entity Data. So Entity Data is part of Entity Docomo, one of the largest telco operators in Japan, but has businesses here in Latin America where they're using infrastructure from blockchain technology such as NEAR to support some of their projects that they're going to be launching. So these are key opportunities that are happening right now. I know Tools for Humanity has also done a lot of partnerships with local organizations here. Juan, do you want to share more on that?
Yeah, like what I feel is that I see definitely, like in my opinion, the challenge for the industry is how do you get to the people that has no idea about crypto? That is 99% of the population normally in the majority of the markets, not Argentina, of course, because it's a different case, and probably a few more. But I don't feel that the way to go with this is go through banks, because banks normally they just care about the same population and the same sample size. because that's where they take their money. And like, yeah, basically their infra and everything is too old, and it's really hard for them to change and to move into crypto. They can connect to crypto and so on, but I don't feel they have also the people to basically go after like the 99% of the people. So in my opinion, the opportunity is that, one, we need to deploy and build services for a person that has no idea how on-chain things work, and they don't need to do it, right? It's like if you think about the traditional industry, banks offer like different financial products that people have no idea how they calculate things, but they just use them, right? Because they're there. So we need to move into a way that a person that takes the bus daily, receives a wage in their like whatever, they start like investing and using financial products in the Web3 world without knowing that it's the Web3 world. And I feel that the industry, that's the challenge in the industry, because the industry is very located and still very focused on the people that knows about crypto. And the opportunity, in my opinion, if you want to extend this to the real world, is not there. It's basically extending this to basically, let's talk about Argentina, probably 80% of the people that has no idea that probably they touch crypto, but they don't understand, and they don't need to understand how it works in the back end. In my opinion, that's the case. And that's why Tools for Humanity is pushing, like, and it might be us or it might be another project, but we push like an offline strategy through verifications, and we have WLD for the people, and it's different. Like, we have seen this everywhere in the world where we operate, that they feel that we're just giving one token, they don't get it, they just want the fiat, right? But many of them now are asking like, okay, but what is crypto? Explain me what is crypto. And that's when I see the opportunity of stables, because we're gonna reflect one like amount or a value in something that they're related to. Is it Argentinian pesos? Is it Colombian pesos? Is it Mexican pesos? Or I can just basically have a shield with USD, right? That is something that probably the economists push them. But again, I feel that the opportunity is bringing services from the Web3 in a way that people that has no idea about crypto can consume.
Yeah, and I think Heal and BitGet is kind of in the middle of that, right? You have a non-custodial wallet as well, but you also have a centralized exchange. Like, tell us a little bit what's to the audience here in Latin America, what makes it so different than any other region, right? The good, the bad, and maybe the ugly, if you can share, right?
Yeah, sure. So at BitGet, just to share more context, we are the second largest centralized exchange with over 120 million users. And that also comes with great responsibility, right? So what we have been investing a lot on is our infrastructure. So in order for users to come and trade with us to come and use our product, we have pretty much take on a quest to develop more resources and just enhance our overall operation, all the way from data security, wallet infrastructure for our exchange product and for the wallet itself. Then there's our risk control department. We have also all things related to compliance. Like, we work very close with all our vendors, because that's a core thing that also helps us be more transparent and generate trust with our users. And now with this influx of new people being onboarded to crypto and being the centralized exchange, their first point of contact with the industry, we have to make it the best experience for them possible. So related to what you just said, what crypto has been, sadly related to is scams here in Latin America. That's a big part of that. And I have been very close to this, because I've been in the industry like since 2013, 2014, but I've also been working for different companies across the past 6 years. So I have been seeing a lot of what has happened here. And that in some sort of way has been mitigated recently, or let's say during the past couple of years, because now people have more access to resources, like, for example, all the tracing that we do of the transactions. That way we can be able to block certain accounts that are related to criminal activities. We work very closely with the authorities. So that has helped us mitigate that part of the equation. Then on the other side is just building the infrastructure to get direct access to fiat on and off ramps, which is the other side of the business that has had some friction across all the different regions, because, we have several currencies in this market. So there's Mexican pesos, Colombian pesos, Brazilian reais, Argentinian pesos, and all have their different set of intricacies. So that also is dependent on the local regulation. So as you say, there's a lot of challenges that we have, and it's just not on, let's say, on the trust side of the business or in the industry. It's also on the infrastructure side and how we present ourselves as a company to the users.
And Pablo, tell us a little about you started like a few years back, right? Like how, from your perspective, building from Latin America to help decentralize protocols, what has been one of the key challenges where Sensei Node comes in and says, this is the value add that we're bringing to protocols, right? That are looking to decentralize their network.
Yeah, at the beginning, we started 4 years ago, and with the mission to help decentralize global protocols in Latin America. At that time, there was no node operator in the region, so most of the staking nodes and validators were in Europe and the US mainly, some in Asia, but we were the first to enter the market. And it was a great value proposition for protocols like Polkadot, Avalanche, Ethereum, of course, and to have a local partner and to help them also with adoption, with evangelizing about this technology in Latin America. So at the beginning, we started creating our own nodes, receiving delegation from protocol foundations. Then we get into Lido as an official node provider. So now we are in 1.2 billion of assets staked in Sensei nodes. So we have more than 10,000 nodes in the region from 35 different protocols. So at this time, what we've seen is like we help them with probably the next wave that is stable coins. All these protocols are building also on stable coins. And I think from the retail side, there's also something really interesting happening, which is this kind of crypto neobanks like EtherFi and Exactly App and many more. Because now the retail, they in their wallet, they don't want to see that as they have in exchanges, for example, like thousands of tokens to trade or to do operation. What they want is to save, to do cross-border payments, to do remittance, and to probably receive their salary or their contractor services as they work remote. So apps that only focus on stablecoin and the yield they can generate is much more attractive, for example, than local banks that to have US dollars in local banks. So I think that's the key. There's some apps with massive growth in Latin America, like Dollar App or Taquenos. It's unbelievable, their growth. And I think this is a trend that will keep on growing.
Yeah, no, we're seeing players like Revolut coming in, right? Like they're getting a bank license in Mexico. They already have the bank license. They're coming in, right? Because they see that there's this opportunity to leverage what they know, right? Like big insider knowledge into it, and then try to learn from in Latin America what works and what doesn't. I think here, Juan, is where expectations need to face reality, right? It's like, yes, we talk only one language, right? And Brazil being the exception, but each region has its own thing, right? To the audience here that want to invest or that are looking into Latin America for the next stage of growth, what your two best practices would be that you recommend that they look into if they want to grow their protocol, they want to grow a business here in LATAM?
In which, like in banking particularly, or in general?
Well, they can be wallets, they can be protocols, whatever you...
Like in banking,
choose your poison in that case.
I wouldn't compete with Revolut, to be honest. What is going to be interesting, and probably is that, like, I don't have the answer for that one, but I don't feel that people will have 10 banks because a different KYC every time, right? So I feel that a KYC and friction and, you know, like you don't want to have 10 apps in your app, or at least I feel that I wouldn't do it. So I feel that if you're able to build something that has like a one single KYC or one single personhood across different services, and regardless that you live in one country and you move to the other one, that makes sense, right? So that's why I feel that Revolut and Nubank and all these guys are playing not only like getting local licenses, but at one point probably, of course, that's the thing, right? Because they're regulated locally and they report to the local government, so they might need to force you a KYC. But in my opinion, self-attestation and that what TFH is doing, that you have like one single personhood and proof of humanity, that is one account, one human, but we don't know who you are, might be a good bet, in my opinion, right? But I feel that that definitely will give you an edge, because you could basically get financial services anywhere in the world, regardless where you are, regardless your age, regardless what you do. And then, of course, there will be like a risk score behind that and many things that you could build after you know that person, how the person behaves. But like just for recommendations, I feel that I'm very bullish on Argentina because how things are.
You're hurting me a little bit. You know, I'm from Mexico, right? Anyhow.
I love your country. I love your country, and I'm Colombian. But I feel that the ecosystem has been growing a lot here, and they like the challenges that the Argentinians lived through the last 20, 15 years, and the level of talent that you have here. And man, the fact that 20% of the Argentinians move something in crypto on a monthly basis, that's crazy. You don't get that anywhere
that's totally
else.
crazy.
So I feel that the opportunity for sure is there. But Mexico and Brazil always are going to be interesting as well in Colombia, because there is too much money there in those countries.
Okay, perfect. Pablo, you want to go for it? What advice would you give folks that are building protocols, that are building platforms, and they want to come to Latin America and do business and grow here?
Well, I would love for you guys to start in Buenos Aires. I can help where, you can pick me and we can, any advice I can help here, but I think it's a sandbox, Argentina, now with this new government that is open for experimentation, and they will not go into chase, new innovation and technology. They just free market and open opportunities. And I think, it's also the local country for Mercado Libre, Mercado Pago. I think when they start adopting crypto products massively, that will also be a game changer. So yes, I think it could be the best place to start to do things in Latin America, Buenos Aires.
So outside of Argentina, man, you're already bragging enough about your country. Anywhere else you like to go, man?
Of course, no, for the massive market, Brazil for sure. But yeah, there you have Nubank also that probably doing. They hire an ex Coinbase as head of crypto recently, so they have a not so good experience with NuCoin. 4 years ago, they tried to launch
they definitely
a
did their
token related to rewards, to loyalty program, but it didn't work, or at some point something happened there. And there's a new team in crypto in Nubank. So probably in the next months, we're having to have big news on that.
Yeah, and I think that's the right message, right? A lot of you are building different protocols and platforms that you might find local partners where you can integrate. And that's a great opportunity that LATAM has, right? Yes, we do have great builders, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, yes, there's a lot of white space to be built, right? And local players such as Ripio are really good. Velo is really good. Lemon Cash is really good, right? But at the end of the day, it's like the diversity being offered right now in the industry, it's as big of enough of a white canvas for anybody to come in, right? You do have to understand that there's a language barrier between Argentinians and Mexicans. Yeah, you kind of understand that. But definitely Brazil is its own thing, right? You need to have local partners there. And I think here, you're touching all pies in all the region, right? And you are working with local partners in each and every one of the regions. What are your best practices for folks that want to go and make it big, right? I know BitGet has done a really good job at expansion here in this region. So you have, I think, a lot of share here with the audiences, and don't be shy, please.
Yeah, first of all, Latin America is a very exciting place because there's no shortage of challenges, right? We always have it a little bit more difficult than elsewhere. So there's a couple of things, right? Because you have to look into many things, like all the way from regulation to local adoption. And for me, it's pretty much looking at the two sides, because obviously there's a language barrier. There's Portuguese and there's Spanish, and you definitely need to treat them on a separate level because they're two worlds apart, even though we are based out of the same region. I had the opportunity of trying to build a startup in Brazil. I moved there because I thought, like, I want to challenge myself, give it a little bit extra hard, right? So I tried there, and it was a great learning opportunity for me also to get to know the language, and that enabled me to also work cross-regionally. But then what would be my number one advice would be for you to spend time on the ground at each of the different countries, like pretty much the larger ones at first, because that will give you the sensibility of what are the needs there, talking to the locals, talking to the communities there. That gets your hand on the pulse on what's actually happening there and what are their actual needs. So that would be the first one. And then the second one comes on education, because if there's something that we need a lot of, and that I have been working on for the last 6 years, is education. Pretty much from 0 to 1, and then up to all the level of sophistication that you want to think of. But to me, that's the most important thing, because someone who is well educated can take good decisions, and that also gives us better credibility as an industry when they are trusting what we're doing based on information.
Thank you very much. So we're wrapping this up, but before we go, one sentence to describe opportunities for 2026. Juan, you want to go for it?
We need to build products for the 99% of the people, regardless Latin America, regardless the world. And that's where the bulk is.
Pablo?
Yeah, I would say exponential adoption of stable coins.
Good.
Yeah, definitely growth, as they just mentioned. So
Perfect. So anyhow, so we'll be here. So please make sure you pick their brains. You want to go inside into what's happening in Latin America. So you got folks that are building protocols, wallets, attestation services, somebody that is running a shit ton of infrastructure for a lot of protocols, and then one of the largest centralized exchanges in not only globally and in Latin America as well. So with that, round of applause for a great panel today, and thank you very much, Staking Rewards, Staking Summit, for having us today.